this vending machine venture that you've dove into.
That location does gross about $1,100 a month.
You are incredibly knowledgeable.
The machine did upwards of $3,000 in 1 month.
Kind of strike me as this under the radar potential gold mine that very few people talk about.
It's location.
Shawn, welcome to Business Perfect Formula.
Thank you, Sarah.
So, Shawn, let's set the stage a little bit here. Besides the fact that we've got the giggles today, you and I have been working together for several years in various facets. So we're going to today talk about this vending machine venture that you've dove into. But I do want to set the stage for all the amazing things you do. You are incredibly knowledgeable. You have an amazing credit repair business. You have a business credit building business. You've written a book with me. You've done so many incredible things. And your background, I don't want to steal your thunder, but you were an executive with a very well-known bank. I mean, you have quite the resume here. And now you're diving into something completely different, which I love. I admire it greatly. So today I want to share that journey. And for those of you listening, hopefully it gives you a little bit of inspiration at somebody that's, been doing kind of similar things and is now taking a deep dive into something so vastly different.
I appreciate that, Sarah. Thanks for having me today.
You're very welcome. So, diving into the world of passive income, I've seen all sorts of creative ventures. I help people fund them. And vending machines kind of strike me as this under the radar potential gold mine that very few people talk about. How did you first stumble upon the idea of vending machines, and what kind of sparked that initial interest?
So I have the pleasure and privilege to work with small business owners virtually on a daily basis. And so a client of mine out west, I think he was somewhere, I think it was Tennessee, I think. But anyway, he had mentioned to me that he was purchasing a vending machine business, an actual franchise. And by the way, talking to small business owners, I always get, to your point, I work with so many different small business owners, all different industries, different products and services that they offer, some very creative people, from artists to clothing companies to everything you can think of, landscapers. But for some reason, it piqued my interest, and he was talking about a vending machine franchise called Healthy for You. So he said, "Shawn, I know you're an entrepreneur and everything. I just let you know I signed up, and I think it's an awesome business, something you should look into." And candidly, I do get different ideas pitched to me.
Absolutely.
Or people just say, "Hey, Shawn, you may want to consider this."
Absolutely.
And oftentimes I'll say, "Hey, it's a great idea, but it's not for me."
Correct. Yep.
But I'm always looking for, and I know there's debate on this. Do you focus on one thing and be super great at it, which I've done. I've focused on the credit services industry now for over 11 years and been in finance for over 20 years.
Wow.
But I'm always looking for, additional streams of income.
Side hustles.
Side hustle. You got it.
That fancy term.
So long story short, it piqued my interest because I find myself using, vending machines.
Everybody does.
Right?
Absolutely.
Whether I'm in the mall or I go to an event.
You're hungry.
It's
convenient.
Easy.
It's absolutely.
Right? And so, long story short, I said, okay, I had that phone call. I hung up the phone, and then I want to say probably the next day, I said, let me do some research. So I ended up going online and I looked up Healthy for You vending, which is it's a vending machine franchise, but they focus more on healthy vending, right? So healthy options, healthy food and drink options. And so I did a little bit of research, if you will. And then from there, through building relationships over the years, I actually have a friend of mine who's a franchise consultant. So I gave him a call. I said, "Hey, tell me about Healthy for You. I'm considering looking into this franchise. I don't know enough yet, but I want to just get your opinion. And so he said, "Hey, Shawn, it's a great company. It can, you know, I think the vending business is a business where you potentially do very well. And what I like about it is that you can scale at your own pace.
Absolutely.
Right? Whether you want to be small or you want to build an empire." I said, I'm kind of intrigued. And then he said to me, "You know what? Another franchise, that you should consider is a franchise called Naturals to Go." And they were based out of Buffalo, New York, and I'm in upstate New York. I'm in Albany. And so, long story short, I called the director of operations and over there, that does the franchise, the franchise consultant, if you will. And so, working with my franchise consultant, between him and the liaison, for lack of a better phrase, I danced with them for about like 3 or 4 months. And at the time, I said, you know what? I was still working, obviously doing my own business. I do this full time, right? I'm not working part time. So first of all, I had to figure out time for this.
Yeah.
2, I wanted to figure out what kind of financing I wanted to do because, and I'll get into that in a second, but they were looking for investments anywhere from $60,000 all the way to, hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on how big you wanted to enter into the business. So truthfully, after my initial conversation with them, I kind of put everything on pause, and I didn't contact them for probably about 2-3 months. And then when I kind of revisited the whole thing, I remember going to you and say, "Hey, Sarah, I'm thinking about this vending machine business. It's a franchise," and I kind of went over the details. But obviously, I'm not going to use my money. I'm certainly not going to use my personal money.
Right.
So, I went to you to say, "Hey, what kind of financing options are out there?" And so, long story short, Sarah helped me find a lender and I was able to secure an equipment financing deal to purchase 4 machines. And this was back in April or May of last year. I think it was April of last year. So I purchased 4 machines and I purchased into the franchise, Naturals to Go. And then I went to training in Buffalo in June of last year.
And the rest is history.
I'm sorry, that was a long story.
No, I'm fascinated because it's not necessarily something that most people would ever consider. Sorry. It is kind of an under the radar, but it's a great source of passive income. And if you think about it, it's one of those industries, it's never going to go away.
Right.
Vending machines, people always need fast access to food, no matter what. I mean, sure, there's restaurants, but when you're hungry and you're hangry, you need something quick, fast, and vending machines or if you're thirsty and you want to, get water, whatever it is, they're the perfect option. So I think it's a brilliant choice. I think it's fantastic that you decided to go with that because it's so smart.
Yeah, and it's funny once you and they say this, people in vending know this, but once you get into the business, you can't unsee it. Meaning, no matter where I am, I'm in the airport, I have to see. I will spot the vending machine no matter where I am.
I'm
in the
sure.
mall, the airport, and then I want to go. Okay, what's the pricing?
No,
what kind of product do they have?
Oh, of course, checking it out.
So what's the competition? So, but yeah, I like to try new things. Again, the initial goal was, hey, I'd like to be able to get into a business that, like a side hustle, like you said, with some passive income. But then more of a long-term strategy is what can I potentially, pass down to my son who will be 9 in July, right? A small business that's not going to take up hopefully too much of my time. I was wrong there. We'll talk about that, at least initially, as with any business, no matter how easy or especially the point of entry, no matter how easy it seems, at the end of the day, there's going to be some time that's going to need to be invested to get the foundation of the business
absolutely
and kind of learn the ropes, because I didn't have any experience whatsoever with vending or purchasing snacks and beverages and
most of us don't
servicing a machine. And so and then the logistics of it and figure out how to locations.
Well, that
and stuff
was
like
my next question. Obviously, location is everything, like they say in real estate.
Yes.
And I'm sure, I mean, not I'm sure, I know that with vending machines, location is everything as well.
Yes.
And so I'm curious, A, how did you go about finding the right locations? And B, have you had it, has every location you've chosen so far been a gold mine, or what kind of struggles have you had there?
Yes. So I'm okay saying this. So I ended up financing $60,000 for 4 machines, and anyone in vending may say or anyone in general may say that's expensive, because the reality is you can buy, vending machines online, or even used machines for anywhere from like $2,000, $2,000 to $5,000. So, but what I was really paying for is not just the machine, which, by the way, these are state-of-the-art machines, but I bought into a franchise. So part of the franchise purchase that I made was location services. So they actually locate the machines for you. Because in getting into this business, being brand new and not knowing anything about vending,
it'd be impossible.
I didn't want to start. Yeah, I could have saved money on the front end by buying some used machines, but then I got to figure out locating it, worry about servicing machines.
Absolutely. I was just going to say, you're buying someone else's problems.
Exactly. And so that was the premium that I paid. So to answer your question, part of purchasing into the franchise was the location services. So they actually provide, they send a locator out to your market. I'm in the Albany market, upstate New York. So they actually sent a locator out to the market to help me secure locations. Now, to your second question, as far as how the locations do. So here's what happened. So I have a total of 4 machines. And so I went into business in April. I went to training in June. And then only after you complete the training do they actually send the locators out to help you find machines.
That's smart, though.
Yes. Now, being who I am, I was a little antsy about getting those machines out as soon as possible, because here I am. I'm making a monthly payment now on my equipment loan that I took out for the machines, right? So I wanted to have some money coming in. And so I ended up, so they placed 2 machines for me, one at a truck stop. It's still there, a local truck stop. So, people are in there 6 days a week from like 7 o'clock in the morning till about 11 o'clock at night.
Wow.
So there's enough traffic with truckers coming in and out, changing their loads and stuff like that. So that location does gross about $1,100 a month. And then they placed me in a hotel, which was a very busy location because it was right. I was placed right in the front lobby.
Wow.
Right near the where the guests check in, and so this was a hotel that they had a bunch of old machines. They had an actual vending area in the back of the hotel, but all the machines were outdated and broken.
Nobody wants that.
And I was the only one in town, and so the machine did upwards of $3,000 in 1 month.
Wow.
Started the first month at like $1,800, and then at its high, did a little over $3,000.
That's a lot for a vending machine.
Yeah, it is. Well, this is a gift and a curse there, because the machine holds 600 products, right? So and it's a dual machine. That's another thing I paid for. So most machines, it's either all snacks or all beverages. This is a dual machine, so it's got the snacks on the top, and then there's a refrigeration shield, and then you have your beverages on the bottom. So I get the best of both worlds, and it's state of the art. It takes all payments.
Wow.
Including touchless pay, Apple Pay, obviously cash, credit card, and so. Well, anyway, so the company located those 2 machines. The other 2 I located on my own because I was I was a lot, impatient with getting those machines out there. And so I have, as you know, I've been in finance for a long time and a former banker, so I have a lot of connections in the banking world. And so I ended up placing 2 machines in this, I won't say the name of the bank, but I ended up placing 2 machines in 2 locations of this bank, this regional bank in my area. And one was put in their break room in one location. The other one was put in a like a common area in one of their corporate buildings. And so the break room, there's about 40 employees there, but they had it locked in the break room. And not only that, there were 2 convenience stores literally across the street. So the busiest month I had in that location was like about $180.
Oh, ouch.
And the other location did about, which was a little better. It was in a common area, but there's an attorney firm in there and the bank. So it wasn't a ton of employees. and I might have done maybe close to $300. That's the high twos. So bottom line, those two locations were not good. So I ended up, now being that the franchise did not locate those machines, I took it upon myself to locate them. I have to, now I'm on the hook
to move it,
to move them. Whereas with the franchise, part of the franchise fee I paid, that was included in the franchise fees, if the location did not perform at least 25 vends per day, and the average sale, they call it vend, but the average sale is probably about $2, and so basically saying $50 a day. If we're over a 90-day period, it doesn't meet that minimum threshold, then they will locate the machine for you for another location. So it's another thing I paid for. So I was okay with paying the premium.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, I should have been more patient.
Yeah, you shot yourself in the foot there, Shawn.
I shot myself in the foot a little bit. But I'm okay to share. Yeah. Hey, I'm not perfect.
No, I'm glad you did, because it's good to learn from your mistakes.
Absolutely. And so since then, I recently moved those two machines out of the bank. It's been about a month and a half. So I have one in a hotel, but not in the actual common area where guests are. It's for the employees. But there's like about 60 employees there or so. So it'll probably, I think when it's busy, it'll probably be $600-700. We'll see how it does. And then I have one in another hotel that I think eventually will do probably between $1,500 to $2,000 per month. So I'm finding my way.
Yeah, you are. It's trial and error.
Yeah.
But it's great. You're figuring it out.
Yeah.
And I'm curious. I didn't realize you have 600 items in these machines.
It can hold up to 600, right? Yeah.
How on earth do you keep all that stocked?
Well, you don't necessarily have to have it completely filled. In the sense of, you just need enough stock. Here's the beauty of it. Technology is just, the technology of these machines is just amazing, because so for instance, I have an app that is connected to the machine, so I can track inventory in real time.
Wow.
I can see if something is selling out. I can track the highest sales by product, by time, the time of day. So for instance, the truck stop, 8:00 in the morning, I know they're going to buy those energy drinks. We sell Ghost energy drinks as an example. So 8:00 in the morning, between 8 and like 8:45, there's a spike. So I can track sales by time. I can track actually sales by product. So I know what's selling, what's not selling.
Yeah.
So, someone, let's say a product doesn't actually vend, like they pay for it, doesn't come out, which is rare, but if it happens, I can actually issue a refund remotely from my phone.
Wow, I wish all vending machines had that. That's the biggest frustration.
So that's what I paid for, right? So I was willing to pay for the knowledge of having other operators that I could lean on, the lifetime support. So for me, that was worth the premium, because I'm sure there's people that are thinking, well, I can get the business a lot cheaper. And you absolutely can. It was just my choice.
More of a headache.
I'd rather be given the blueprint, and from a franchise perspective. I like the franchise model because I have the blueprint.
Absolutely.
So that works for me, but there's a cost to that. But yeah, so to the point you made earlier, it's location. It's got to be, you've got to know your competition. You've got to know where you are. How convenient is it? How close is the nearest competition? What kind of clientele is it? How many employees? Is it a seasonal business? These are all things that I went through in training, candidly, but to see it real time, it
absolutely.
It came home.
So I'm going to back up for just a minute, because I want to talk about the funding piece for just a second, because I think, we can talk all we want about these great business ideas, but the hardest hurdle is, how on earth do I fund them? So first of all, why did you decide not to just use your own money to fund this?
Because, God forbid, first of all, I protect my cash flow at all costs. So any business venture I do not want I don't want my personal credit or my personal finances attached to it in any way, shape, or form, because anything can happen, right? Even with the best laid plans. And by the way, it's not good to mix I know from experience and from being in the business, it's not good to mix your personal and your business finances. That's a recipe for disaster. So that's one. Two, I have access to a lot more capital, knowing that I have business credit established. I have access. When I use the bank's money,
absolutely,
not my money. Why not use the bank's money and get access to capital? And by the way, I was able to get, through your help, but also by having established business credit, I was able to get that equipment financing, and I started that business entity overnight.
And that's amazing, because most people think that, I have to have been established for years to be able to get, especially equipment financing, and you were able to do it without having made a single dollar.
Correct.
Because you had built up that business credit. They had that history on you.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was the true testament there of why it's so important.
Yep. So, yeah. And then I was actually able to get, in addition to that, at my local bank, when I opened my bank account, I was able to get a line of credit. And now through the bank. So again, business credit,
absolutely,
not my personal credit. So now, I mean, it wasn't a ton of money. It was $12,000, but I can use that now. That money, let's say, business is really taking off. I can purchase an additional machine, or I use it for my inventory. So when I'm purchasing the inventory, I can pay myself back
awesome.
as the revenue comes in. So I cannot overemphasize the importance of establishing and leveraging business credit.
Absolutely. Well, it made the process so much easier. You didn't have that hanging, sticking point that so many people face when starting a new business. You know, you knew from experience the difference there, and that's such a key takeaway because most people get lost in that little spot. That's where it's so sticky. So, and I'm curious. You know, every entrepreneur, they have that moment they face where they have to decide to take that leap of faith or not. And I know you would kind of talk to me a little bit about the idea, and then you kind of backed off about the vending machine. What was the turning point for you? What was it that finally went, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start building my vending machine empire?
Well, you know, it's funny. I talked to my wife, and my wife is definitely more conservative than I am. So, and be quite candid, you know, she was like, you sure you want to do this? I don't think it's a good idea. You know, focus on your own business. And I said, well, I want to do something on the side. It's new, it's fresh. And hey, maybe I have something to pass on to my son. And if I don't like it, guess what? I can sell it.
Absolutely.
That's the way I look at things. I always like to look at the glass half full versus what if it doesn't work? And so, and I did the same thing, you know, transitioning from the corporate world. Good, bad, or indifferent, it's just how I'm wired. You know, I'd rather look at the positive and say, hey, I'm going to make it work one way or the other. And so, and then of course, after I reached out to you and then I got approved, I was like, okay, this is a sign. Because I didn't have, just because I got approved didn't mean I had to go through it with everything. Like I said, I got approved for financing. Then I really did a deep dive. I said, all right. Had another follow-up phone call with the franchise consultant, and he convinced me. Matter of fact, as part of the dancing I said I was doing, I spoke to 10 different operators.
Wow.
Existing operators, and 9 out of 10 of them had amazing stories. The 10th one that didn't have an amazing story, I just felt like he wasn't a good fit for the business. I don't think it was the business. I think it was him, based on what he was telling me. So that's what really sealed the deal for me. And I said, you know what? I think I've done enough due diligence. I know I can do this. My main concern was, am I going to have the capacity to do this, as well as and not take away from the business that pays my mortgage,
right?
And you know, what I'm because I'm a credit consultant. This is what, and so and candidly, I'm still. I think I'm still balancing that, right? This is a part-time side hustle, but it still requires time. Now, when I initially, got the machines on the street, I was probably funny looking back at it now, it was taking me probably about 45 minutes on average to service a machine, meaning I go in, fill it up, whatever's missing.
A day. Or every
That's
time.
just to fill the machine while I'm there. That's not including drive time to get to the machine. Thankfully, I can get to all the machines. I chose a very tight radius, so I can get to all the machines within 20, 25 minutes of each other. So that's good. But, when I did the math, I was putting in at least, 8, almost 10 hours a week. That's a lot. Now I've gotten it down to like 4 hours a week.
Okay. So you figured out ways to make it better.
So I know how to, so from my, from the path that I take, the route that I take to the machine, the most strategic route, to being more prepared around how I'm going to restock, have everything prepared the night before. So I've gotten it down. I think I can get it down even more. But again, there's a balance there, because if it's a busy machine, it's going to require more. It's going to require more attention.
Absolutely.
Right. That hotel that was doing 3,000, I was going there. I was there almost at a point. It was like every other day. Sometimes I went consecutive days.
Ooh. That's a lot.
It's a lot. And so my wife's like, "Wait, you're a vending guy, huh?"
Yeah.
So
creating that empire.
That's gotta build it.
So I am curious. I'm going to ask you to reveal the secrets right now. What, because you've been doing this a while now, what would you say are the top 5 best sellers for vending machines? Because actually, let me back up. You're in a franchise. They don't tell you what you have to have in there, do they?
They do not.
So you can pick what you want.
Absolutely.
So what have you found to be like the top 5, yes, must-haves in a vending machine?
So it varies by location.
Oh, interesting.
It does vary by location, but I'll say Coca-Cola.
The drink?
Bottle, in the bottle, yeah.
Like a plastic bottle?
Plastic bottle.
Okay,
yeah,
not a can.
The cans too. So,
okay.
But
people like to be able to put the lid on and off.
Yes. So I sell the 16.8 ounce. They most of the vending machines the 20 ounces, but I do the 16.8 ounce.
Okay.
But so Coca-Cola, Sprite does well, Doritos.
A certain flavor of Doritos?
I do the regular Doritos.
Just plain.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool Ranch does well too, but I
okay.
typically just do the regular ones. Another hot seller, Sour Patch Kids.
Oh,
candy.
Everyone's got to have those. That seems like everyone's favorite go-to.
Takis.
What are Takis?
It's like this spicy snack. Really spicy.
Like a chip. Oh, it's like a chip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very, very spicy.
Interesting.
Very spicy. But, to that question, every location is different. Like, for instance, the truck stop, the Ghost energy drinks, which are expensive, they cost me $3. I've been able to get it down by shopping at different places, but and I'll sell it for $3.50 or $4.
Mm-hmm.
But in the truck stop, I can't keep them in stock, but I can put them in the hotel and they sit.
Interesting.
So it's really by location. But generally speaking, the sodas, like Coca-Cola, Pepsi does well. The Sprite, Doritos is a good one.
Do you have any healthy options?
I do. So we sell, I'll do what's an example? Well, I wouldn't consider honey buns, but we do the Sargento, snacks, the cheese and crackers.
Oh yeah.
Popcorners.
Yep.
Veggie sticks.
Okay.
Those do well I'm in a tennis club. So they like the veggie sticks.
Yeah.
Water, by the way, I should have mentioned water. Any vending person knows.
Of course.
And the margins are just ridiculous, right? You buy them for like 36 cents and you sell them for $1.75.
And even that's cheap.
And even that's right. And so, but water is usually, but again, it depends. Like in the tennis club, does amazing. Whereas in the back of the hotel, they've got the big water fountains.
Yeah, they don't need
it. They don't need it. So, but generally speaking, so that's what I found. You really have to tweak the inventory based on the location. First of all, you have to have the right location,
right?
The right audience, and you've got to tweak the inventory, and you got to be ready to you have to be ready to pivot. Like try, if you see something selling, I might add a second row or a third row of that. If something is sitting, like I have body armor just sitting there, I get rid of that and make an additional row. I just did that with the truck stop. We added a second row of vitamin water. All of a sudden, vitamin water is selling.
Really?
Yeah. So it's really just being in tune with the location, the people at the location. The second thing, and they taught us this at training, and it's definitely true. It's a relationship business.
Yeah.
I mean, they're buying snacks and food and beverages, but you really have to build a relationship with the people at the location. So that I'm very deliberate and intentional around just saying hi. Even if I gotta say, hey, how you guys doing? Any suggestions? I have a little whiteboard.
Oh, that's
suggestions.
Nice.
And they know, hey, Shawn, how's it going? So to build rapport, that goes a long way. Because you do that, if something's wrong, they'll let you know, or
True.
Or they don't like something in the machine, or they have a suggestion. They're a lot more forthright. So that is just huge. Because even the locations that I did secure, with the exception of one location, which was the bank, which I did by myself. I know why my competition wasn't in there, but there's a competitor there. And so for me to come in and replace the competitor, something is wrong. Either A, they're not showing up to fill the machine.
Yeah.
B, they're not servicing the machine, so the glass is all foggy and dirty. Who wants to buy from a dirty machine? Or they don't refill the product, or they don't show up. or there's a number of different things, or they're priced way too high. There's a number of different reasons, but 9 times out of 10, when you're putting in a vending machine, especially in a really good location, there's probably been someone there before, or there's an existing vendor.
Yeah.
There.
Interesting. So
service is important.
Obviously, when you have a business, you always think about scalability. Has that thought crossed your mind? Have you thought, are you going to buy any more? Are you thinking of just staying with where you're at?
So it'll be a year next month that I've been in the business, and it's been fun, but fun is not enough for.
No.
It's got to make money. It's got to make sense in the grand scheme of wanting to retire, whatever that means, one day, right? Sometime soon. And actually, in the next 10 years, I'd like to be able to just work just because I feel like working and stay busy, not because I have to. But to answer your question, I'm not sure. But I'm okay with that because I know if I decide to scale, I can do it. I don't want to say pretty easily, but it's not a hard task.
No.
It's simply just getting the right. Like for instance, if I decide I want to scale, and again, I'm all about building relationships with different strategic partners and just being out there, people know who I am, and making sure that if an opportunity does come up, hopefully they'll think of me. Let's say I get a contract with a state contract with a certain location. That could be 15, 20 machines. Now I'm scaled immediately.
Absolutely.
So knowing that, or let's say I want to buy a machine, 1 or 2 machines per year, and I need, I'm working with a business consultant where I can figure out my business plan. Like, hey, do I want to pick up maybe one or 2 machines per year? My wife has forbidden me from doing anything until it's actually showing profit, because obviously there's and I'm making a small profit. The average margins are about 60% right now, and they could be higher depending on the location. So that's good.
Yeah.
Like the margins are good. But my return on my investment, how much I'm getting paid per hour, it pales to what I do for a living as a credit consultant. So how do I balance that? And then if I do decide to scale, obviously now I have to think about what's that magic number? Is it 5 machines or 6 machines where I need to bring in someone part-time or full-time to actually service them? So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's more of finding that balance. I'll tell you this, if I find myself, I've got it down to maximum 4 hours per week, if that. If I find myself having to do more, having to dedicate more time, then it's okay. Am I making enough where I can bring on someone part-time? Or if not, then okay. Then I got to reevaluate. Is this business for me?
Absolutely. If you were to give someone advice, so if let's say someone is considering, hey, this sounds like a potential business opportunity that I'd like to get into, what advice would you give them if they were thinking about getting into the vending business?
Well, I'd say whatever market you're in, first of all, do your own research, right? So wherever you are in the market, go to those local establishments and see who your competitors are, see what they're selling, see if it's because, like I said, location is everything. So that'd be the first thing I would do. And then secondly, you want to figure out, is there a need for it in your particular market, in that specific location that you're looking at? Yeah. And are you a people person? Are you able, because getting a machine is one thing, but again, are you able to have those conversations? Because especially if you're not going with a franchise, if you're not going to have someone locate the machines, one of the hardest things to do is getting the machine located. Regardless of whether you have a $10,000 machine or a $2,000 used machine, you still have to secure a location. And by the way, depending on how busy the location is, some may ask for commission. Like for instance, I pay a 5% commission to the tennis club, right? And then the truck stop, they didn't ask me for a commission, but the person the operations manager that got me in there, her name is Tanya. And by the way, I replaced another machine. It was the same thing I was telling you. Like it was dirty. It was an older machine. It just looked dilapidated. Like there was no care.
Yeah.
So she wanted them out of there. But she mentioned to me that I saw that she was selling like snacks and candy at her desk, and I'm like, that was kind of concerning to me. I'm like, I don't want to compete against.
Right. No kidding.
But she goes, but all the sales. I donate them to juvenile diabetes research fund. So I said, how about this? I'll donate 5% of all my net sales to JDRF. And she's like, oh, that's amazing. So she took down her sign about that, and that's what I've been doing every
really
month.
Cool.
Yeah. So again, really being able to work with people, understand what their needs are, and then, like I said, being able to go out there and secure a location, and that might be canvassing an area. Like the last 2 locations, I actually drove around. Really? I did a Google search of the hotels, the local hotels, and I drove around and I hit 8 hotels. It took me less than like 2 hours. Because I really just stopped in, hey, you guys have vending machines. And I ended up getting 2 of them.
That's awesome.
2 out of 8. That's not bad. 1 day's work. And I'm not saying it's that easy. I'm just saying you have to be able to go out there and you have to be comfortable in talking to people because the location is going to be everything. And like I said, depending on how great the location is, some may want a commission, some may not want a commission. But the big selling point for me is no contracts, and there's no cost to the location.
Wow.
So and oftentimes that's good enough to seal the deal.
So I have the most important question of this entire episode.
Oh.
Do you ever eat anything from your own vending machines?
Yes.
What is
so
it?
one of the things you have to monitor is certain foods have expiration dates, right?
Oh, so you eat all the expired stuff?
No, I don't. Well, my wife coached me on this. So just because sell by doesn't mean you can't eat it, right? It's just sell by. But anyway, to your question. So prior to owning the vending machines, I had never tried Sun Chips.
Oh, you'd never tried those?
I never tried Sun Chips prior to the vending machine. And I'm hooked now, but I don't eat a lot of my supply because it's
of course
it's
cuts
my
into
inventory.
Your profit.
But every now and then I'll take a bag.
I love Sun Chips.
Sun Chips, I'm addicted.
Funny story about Sun Chips. So I grew up in a very ultra healthy parents. Like we had to eat the nasty bread that was wheat bread that was so dry, the peanut butter that you had to stir that didn't stir. And we weren't allowed to have sugar cereals, and we were not allowed chips. The only chips we were allowed were Sun Chips.
Wow.
So I grew up with Sun Chips, and they were so coveted because we weren't allowed them very often. But when we were, man, you held onto that bag like it was the best thing ever. And they're so good.
I didn't know they were around that long. Wow.
Hey, are you saying that? Jeez, John, God, that's
I know it's really new. No, I mean, I didn't mean it that way.
How old am I?
3-4 years
yes,
old.
I'm 70, Josh.
Oh my, no.
No.
That came out wrong, but yeah.
Well, you know what's new is all the flavors. So when I was growing up, there was like original. And then I think they added cheddar, and then like, isn't there like a French onion or something?
French onion,
yeah, no, it used to just be the original, but like, it was so good.
They are very good.
They allowed us that and a Capri Sun. Like that was like a crazy wild drink. So I would have a Capri Sun and that, and it was living wild, man, living wild. So I can see why you love them. They are good.
Otis Spunkmeyer, the muffins, they make those fresh muffins.
Oh yeah,
those are good too. But then I said, all right, I can't go into my inventory. So now I'll just go to the supermarket and get the big bag instead of getting the small bags. Yeah. But yeah. And then I never heard of it. A lot of products I didn't hear of, I didn't know about until I actually got into the vending business, or it was a request from one of the people at the location. And that's another thing I learned too. They'll tell you got to do your research too. Like, don't assume when they request something they're actually going to buy it.
Oh.
I learned that the hard way too.
Yeah, you followed those, and then the request
they just sit there.
Sit.
I had someone request lemonade. Oh, I had lemonade. We need it. Okay, but lemonade just sat. So you got to,
So this was very insightful, Shawn. I think overall I gathered that vending machines would never be like a primary source of income. They are a good source of passive income, a side hustle, as long... Oh, what?
Well, I think the beauty of the vending machine business, I wouldn't say it's not... Because listen, when I went to the training, there were people that invested hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Really?
That bought 20 machines, 30 machines.
Wow.
And there's people that...
and they had the time to do that because it was their main source.
Yes.
Okay.
And I met someone that had over 100 machines. So So you can absolutely build an empire with vending machines. I'm just saying one of the reasons I like the business is because you have the option, you have that wiggle room to say, okay, if you want it to be a little side hustle and have a couple machines, like right now I have 4 machines. If I want to go to 6 or 8, that's still a small operation.
Right.
I can have someone part-time or whatever if I decide to service them myself, but it's still a small operation that's a side hustle. But if I wanted to scale it and say, okay, I'm going to invest, hey, it's doing well. Because, by the way, if you get into a decent location, the average vending machine pays for itself in less than 2 years.
Okay.
2.5 years tops. I mean, I'm talking about, so the loan I took, equipment loan, to pay for itself. And I'm on track to do that. So, again, I think the beauty of it is, hey, you can go small or you can go big.
Yeah.
You can get hundreds of, 100 plus or 200 machines. It can be an empire. And I did get a chance to meet people that it's a full-time job for them and they're doing really well. One person that was assigned to me as a coach is well into the 6 figures.
Wow.
Doing vending machines. So it can absolutely be a business.
So maybe I was correct with saying this could be your empire and you could become that beacon.
The option and opportunity is definitely there. It's definitely there. And then, my goal is, when my son gets a little bit older, to bring him
involved,
have him start to service it. I had brought him along to service the machines just
I bet he loves it. I bet he helps you with the stuff that's about to expire. He helped
a couple times. He didn't like the hotel. Like, Dad, can we leave now? But he definitely likes, seeing what I do.
Oh, of course. And I bet it's cool. And then I bet, does he sample like the Sour Patch Kids or?
So his new thing now is, because I have a whole, I have a whole storage area where I keep like the snacks and everything. So the new thing, he would ask me, he likes Pepsi and he likes the Diet Pepsi. Not Diet Pepsi.
What?
Not Diet. Dr. Pepper.
Oh.
So now he comes to me with the bottle with $2 in his hand. Like, Dad. And I'm like, all right, put it in your piggy bank.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I feel guilty, although I took it the one time, but I gave it back to him. Oh. So now he pays me for it. So any beverages in the house, he wants to pay me for it now.
That's so cute. I love that.
So, but yeah, I think just having that flexibility to if you want to scale, you can do that with a plan. So it's a unique business. I think it's a fun business. If you're a people person, you can definitely be successful.
Yeah.
And barrier of entry, like I said, you have different options. I happen to go the franchise route, but there's a ton of information.
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
No.
Right.
Well, thank you, Shawn. I appreciated the insight. I learned a lot about the vending machine business today that I had no idea. And I will say, I'm glad to learn so much more because I do see on social media or hear, vending machines, get into that, but I really didn't know the whole story behind it, the ins, the outs, the trials, the tribulations. I also was fascinating to hear the way you financed it and funded it, because I think for a lot of people, that's that hardest point right there. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I thank you for listening today. I hope this perhaps piqued your interest for a new business idea and maybe made you a little bit hungry in the process, talking about all these good snacks and beverages. And wherever you are in your entrepreneurial journey, just know that I'm here to support you. I believe in you, and whatever you do, I'm sure it's going to be amazing. So until next time.